children of the night. What music they make.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What's up?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash you a bit.
Tuesday night. You know what time it is. Final Guys time. What's up, everybody?
Good evening.
I think we're all hitting the time where it's maybe time for Geritol before we go to bed.
Yeah.
That's getting to be.
Speak for yourself.
You too, Jason, and Chad, please.
Well, I was in the theater for this movie. I was the youngest person by like 25 years.
You know what? I was one of three, and the couple behind me were in like their late 70s.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, what's with the olds? Like, I had no idea. But I went on a different day, and I found out if you're a member of the theater, it's like $7 movie day. So I think that's probably why. But I was like, what the hell's going on?
Getting their $7 worth.
There was 0 other people besides me and my friend. And at one point, like when the movie was starting or during the preview or something, she like whispered something to me, and I said, "You know, it's just us two. We can talk as loud as we want."
I had to drive 30 miles to find a theater that had this. And I went to a rundown Regal in Pennsylvania. And I'm sitting in this movie theater, and there's just darkness. And I'm sitting there for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, this movie's supposed to get going. So I go out. I'm like a total, like, kind of a dickwad going, hey, somebody must be asleep at the switch. There's nothing going on in Theater 5. And the guy's like, what? I said, yeah, you got to call somebody to turn the movie on. And then I walked back to the theater, and I realized I was sitting in Theater 6.
You asshole.
Yep. I was like, do I go back and apologize? No. I've never done that before. It was great.
Wow.
That's awesome.
What a
Well,
douche.
For all of you tuned in live or listening to this later, tonight's main feature is The Substance with Demi Moore.
Demi?
Before we get to that, we're going to talk about what we watched this week. We're going to do some news, all that kind of fun stuff. But before we get going, anybody have anything to announce?
It's time for my monthly unboxing because we have a ton of shit. So Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern, we will see what insanity people have sent me this month.
Twice in 1 month.
What?
Twice in 1 month.
No, every 4 weeks.
Oh,
I mean,
wherever it
technically
lands
might
on
fall, like, you know, might have been like the
gotcha.
1st and the 29th or whatever.
I got
but-
you. I thought you did it in the first Sunday of every month for some reason. But yeah, for every 4 weeks. I got you.
Steelers game at 1.
Yes. Oh, wait, I
There we
checked.
go.
I will push it back a week if the Steelers are on, no doubt.
And I'll be at Brian Keene's Vortex Books and Comics on Saturday, the 28th, signing, oh my God, the clown book, the clown anthology book, Fear of Clowns, Part 2. And Laurel Hightower will be there promoting her book.
Oh, very
So it
nice.
should be fun.
Where is this bookstore? Hello?
Maybe we'll have her back someday.
Where's
Where
the
is the
bookstore?
bookstore?
Oh, it's in Columbia, Pennsylvania.
I don't know
Dude,
where that
it's
is.
hours from me.
Jason, you should pack up the car with your books and head down there and do a little signing.
I would, but I'm not gonna.
You would.
Smart man.
I've done one book signing in my life. I do not enjoy them.
Hunter, tell them about our new Monster Man.
Oh, and we have a new Monster Man that dropped with Eric Mintel, jazz musician and paranormal researcher of Eric Mintel Investigates. And he is the guest that I said is Ron Popeil. You set him and forget him because he just has a slew of like really cool stories. So
Great episode.
yeah, he was.
Let me
he
ask
was
you
awesome.
guys. It was really hard to buy most of this stuff. You guys like buy all of this?
I don't buy all of
some
anything.
of it was crazy.
Yeah,
I know Jack's
look-
more of a skeptic than you are.
but no, I look. My mind isn't so open. My brains fall out. So
A little bit.
a little bit.
Just
Great
so much
episode.
left.
This
Seems
point.
like a great guy. I would love to hear his music. I'm a huge jazz fan.
Yeah,
It
check
was-
him out. His stuff's on YouTube.
he
good.
seems to have the attitude that Hunter and I have about things. We're just two people that really are curious about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to it, I do ask him a little bit about the psychics that he uses. I'm pretty skeptical about that, but not in that expose kind of way. Just sort of like, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, you weren't being a jerk considering he's his childhood friend.
Oh, okay. That explains why Jack's lips are sealed when I said, "Are you buying any of this?"
No, I mean, hey, look, some of this, it's what you feel at the moment and whatever. It's fun.
He's not my childhood friend.
Oh.
No.
The psychic. Is his friend.
Oh, the psychics. I got you. Well, anyway, seems like cool dude. It was a great episode. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, he is super nice.
Splendid. All right. Anything else before we get going?
Actually, we have to do the drinking words, but I wanted to mention we'll call it the sponsor for this week since we're always struggling. So I ordered something from Edgewood Studios. I don't want to say what it is because it's going to appear on So Bad It's Good here in a couple of weeks. But this is a guy who owns... the guy who owns Edgewood Studios did Pressure Point that we watched and did Time Chasers. So when I ordered this, in the package with what I ordered, he sent me a free movie on top of what I ordered, and he sent me a signed Time Chasers little mini poster.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
Edgewood Studios is the shit, and I am actually a fan of this guy. I don't know how you say his name. Dave Giancola. I've only seen 2 of his movies. They're both a ton of fun. So shout out to you, man. That's really cool. So order shit from Edgewood Studios. You get free stuff.
I'm a big fan of edging, so I'm with you on this one.
Yeah, it's not Hunter's Edgewood Studios. That's different.
Got to
Edging the wood.
Yeah.
These would be stuck together if that came from...
Oh, gosh.
All right. Let's do the news.
How about the drinking words?
No, do the drinking words. You said it, then you didn't do them.
That's my bad. That's my bad.
Gaslighting.
All right, take a drink if you hear us say any of these. If Jack says third, quaid, or fly. If Hunter says body, sparkle, or fonda. If I say politics, day, or horror. If Letsky says lynch, age, or doobie. Or if any of us say demi, rules, or monstro. So thank you, Sheridan Bradford, for the drinking words.
I feel like if you just throw every week Lynch, Tubi, and nostalgia, people are going to get drunk.
You're done. This movie, he forgot a very important word. Ass.
Wow.
It'd be 100 drinking words by the time it's over. Yeah, we have a lot to unpack on this movie.
Let's do the news first.
It's the news. Yay.
Tonight's news is brought to you by Edgewood Studios. Buy stuff from Edgewood Studios.
I was so happy, man. That's so cool.
News will be quick, folks. The good news is we all love Samara Weaving, right?
Of course.
She confirms that she is very likely to return for a Ready or Not sequel. And the boys at Radio Silence say that while it's not 100% greenlit, the wheels are turning, and they said that they have a banger of an idea for it. So
if they do it, I have some confidence.
Yeah. If it's them and her, I'm in. Sold.
That movie is so damn good.
So good. She's awesome in it. And so that's good. Now enjoy that.
Here we go.
Prequel of...
In other sequel news, I know what you're going to be doing next summer. Seeing Freddie Prinze Jr. or whenever that movie comes out, because they have officially added Freddie Prinze Jr. to the next I Know What You Did Last Summer sequel. So they've been circling this for a while. He's officially signed on. No word on Jennifer Love Hewitt yet.
I was going to say, is J Love in it? If not, no.
Again, my feeling on this, I saw the first one. I don't think I saw the second one. If I did, I saw part of it. I don't remember much about the first one. I don't really care.
Yeah. I read the book. I don't remember anything out of that or the movie.
There's a book?
Yeah, it's based on a book.
Didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I watched. How many are there? 2?
3?
Maybe 3.
At least 2.
3.
Yeah.
I'm guessing I watched these during my 2020 watch every horror series thing, but zero recollection. I barely remember the first one. I've probably seen it 3 or 4 times in my life, and I don't remember shit from that.
I mean, I remember a couple of things from it.
Yeah. I remember Sarah Michelle Gellar and her hair.
Just
I forgot she was in it.
forgettable.
But it was big at the time because that was like,
Yeah.
you know, that whole Scream adjacent pretty people and slick looking movies.
This is the one with the Gordon Fisherman with the hook, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The hook.
Jar, it's Captain Carl from Pee Wee's Playhouse.
You guys think this, with the popularity of Scream still continuing and this kind of stuff, you think this 90s thing is going to come back with this kind of, you know, beautiful slashers?
It might. I mean, everything comes back.
I think any IP that they can milk while
Oh,
these
for sure.
while the stars are still.
But just that aesthetic of like gorgeous people playing, you know, like Melrose Place slasher.
I mean,
I
it's
think-
kind of still there.
Yeah,
Like I watched
Blumhouse
the movie
does
with the
it.
resort.
Yeah. With Blum, yeah, that's what Blumhouse is made of. That's their cornerstones right there.
Yeah. Well,
But-
they want to make money. And they know how to make
That's
it.
why we need to stop paying them.
That's what Terrifier
Ah,
3 is going to be. It's going to be a beautiful people slasher.
I can only imagine what a piece of crap that'll be.
Speaking of Terrifier 3, which comes out in a couple of weeks, I believe. Well, yeah, Terrifier 3 hits the theaters October 11th. However, they have already announced Terrifier 4 will be a thing.
Wow.
I hope it's
Let's keep it
3.5
going.
hours.
They will keep it going, and they, I mean, people love these movies, but they have to, they're going to have to, at the very least, keep them as gory as the one before, or try to beat them as they go, which is probably going to start getting harder to do.
These are not for me. I understand why people dig them. I saw
Yeah,
the
me
first
neither.
one. I was good at that, and I'm out. Never even considered watching the second one. The trailer for the third one played before the movie today, and I was just like, nope,
Yeah,
I'm good.
I've seen this.
I
I've
like
seen
the
a scene.
first one so much, too. But that
Really?
second one just
I mean, it's
finished
not
me
bad.
forever.
But it's brainless. I heard that the second one actually has more of a story. I know that it's much longer, but I did see one scene from Terrifier 2, and it was very brutal. One of the most brutal scenes I've ever seen in a movie, honestly.
Girl in the bedroom?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
that's,
saw one still image of that. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm missing.
Oh, it was hardcore.
The problem in that movie is, Hunter said it goes on forever.
Yeah.
It's like 2.5 hours.
It's like 2.5 hours, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Nobody
pretty
needs that.
indulgent for a slasher.
If they got that thing down to an hour and a half, I'm cool. 2.5 hours, sorry. That's Apocalypse Now.
Exactly. Without the art. Except for Art the Clown. Oh, look
With
at this.
that-
Pam is here.
Oh wow!
I
And
thought
I
we'd
noticed
never-
that Johnny Recaps is in the chat tonight, so we'll just do a quick circle.
Oh, you
back
didn't
to-
Yeah.
send him his gift?
Didn't,
No, the gift is I show it.
If Johnny
it's a
comes,
virtual gift.
Johnny has to come help Jack move. And that, you get pizza, beer, and your reward.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, I did not know you weren't sending that out. That's a cock tease.
Oh, Collins, I'm going to see him sometime, and I'll give it to him over beers.
Yeah.
Johnny got to contact me, and we got to negotiate. He wants that in person. Then.
Yeah. I don't think he lives anywhere near you.
You got to, grease the old wheels here.
Come on.
You got to pay for a stamp. Come on. That is all the news that's fit to print.
We have such sights to show you.
Alrighty then. It's time to talk about what we watched this week. And let's just go down to Hunter and then around.
All right. Well, I'll start with a series called Alien Encounters Fact or Fiction that was on Max.
That's not the sci-fi one, is it?
No, that used to be Paranormal Files, Fact or Fiction. They just love throw that Fact or Fiction out there. This is an interesting setup. It's one guy he's a writer and paranormal enthusiast, and the other is like works on science magazines or something, and she's a reporter. And they are in the one bar in Roswell, New Mexico, and they're just sitting in the bar, and people are coming to tell their stories. Now they vet people ahead of time, so they give them their evidence or whatever. So you get like 3 different groups of people for each episode, and then they tell their story. And then these two, based on whatever evidence they can gather, a lot of it's like satellite data and stuff like that, they tell them whether they think they really saw a UFO or not. The best part of this stuff is like when you know that they saw like what somebody saw, like the Starlink, which is so obvious, right? They filmed it. It's waiting for the reactions of the people. If you don't validate their experience and tell them it's something else. There was one guy, I was like, I would tell him, yep, it's real, because I don't want to die. This guy looked like Travis Bickle on meth. And I'm like, just tell him, yep, looks like UFO to me. This is actually pretty cool. It was like 7 episodes. They were about 45 minutes each or whatever. I just like the idea of everyone in a bar just talking about their experiences. And you get to watch some colorful people in the background playing pool and drinking and stuff like that. I think it was probably shot in a day or two, because no clothes were changed. It was really quick. But yeah, I mean, check it out. It's fun when you know somebody's coming to you with a bullshit story, and then you get to watch them prove that they're full of shit. Kind of enjoyed that aspect of this.
It's interesting that they're trying to ride the coattails of the extremely popular 90s show Fact or Fiction. Beyond Belief Fact or Fiction.
Oh, yeah. I like
Remember
that one too. Yeah.
That was a good show. Trying to steal the name.
This isn't as good as that. I'll give it that. But it's HBO. I guess it's HBO. Why would it be there? Why is Max producing stuff like this?
That's a great question.
Right? I should really look that up. They just buy this in like, the bargain bin.
Well, don't they also own Discovery? Maybe it's...
I think Discovery bought them.
Oh, okay. Well, either way. So they're intertwined. Maybe that's why.
That makes sense then. But dude, if you just want to sit down and watch some like cool UFO stuff every now and then, I'd say pop one of these on.
Nice.
And then guess the reaction. My wife and I were like having a game. So it's fun.
Chad, you're up.
Speaking of Jack Palance, okay, you guys. I watched a movie called Without Warning from 1980 on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Own it.
A film that feels like a slasher, but it's an alien invasion B movie with a cast that just blew my mind. It's got Martin Landau, Jack Palance, or as my grandpa used to call him, Skullface, Cameron Mitchell, Larry Storch from the original Ghostbusters TV show, and a college-aged David Caruso in his first movie ever. Huge cast, man.
I know.
And Kevin Peter Hall, who
I was going to say, it also has Kevin Peter Hall, who most people probably don't know. He played Harry from Harry and the Hendersons and the Predator in the first 2 Predator movies, and some other monsters.
Cameron Mitchell is an SBIG legend.
Yeah, he's not in there for very long, but it starts out with a few death scenarios, one being father and son fishing trip, and another being a group of Cub Scouts and their den leader, where people die from these flying creatures that are a cross between like starfish and sand dollars, with tentacles that protrude and dig into their victims. And
those things are cool.
Oh my, I love them.
And it turns out these things are from space. So then David Caruso in his super tiny short shorts along with his friends, head out to this area to have some makeout parties and whatnot. But 2 of them are killed via the space starfish, and the other 2 haul butt to the local dive bar where they're hoping to get some help from the locals, but the locals don't believe this stuff that they're being told. By the way, that mask was made by Rick Baker. I don't think he did anything else but just the mask, which
I
cost
don't
like
think-
19 grand.
What?
Yeah.
In 1980?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, the budget is only like I can't remember, it was 150,000. I think it was 150,000, 75 of which went to Landau and Palance. 19 to Rick Baker just for the alien head. But so they're at the bar, the dive bar. The locals don't believe it, except for Martin Landau, who already knows all about these alien things, but nobody believes him because he's a crazy war veteran. And now these kids in their story has completely triggered him, and he ends up having some serious PTSD episodes where he makes every situation so much worse than it was. Anytime he shows up on screen until the end of the movie, he's having an episode that makes an already bad situation much worse.
Yep.
So ultimately, you end up with 2 antagonists. It's like babysitting your little brother while you're trying to, I don't know, do something and deal with something else. This is like the perfect Joe Bob movie. I laughed out loud a few times. In particular, Jack Palance's last scene that I'm sure he's very embarrassed of once he saw it, where he just screams alien. Because this thing doesn't have a name, so he's just screaming. You have to see it. It's that part, just for that part by itself, it's hilarious.
You are number one.
Yes.
Guy.
This is my friend
That's
and
great.
I love this movie so much. We made those things out
Really?
of like 4 Chinese stars, and we made some latex thing that we would attach them to, and then launch them at each other.
Jesus.
Well, what's funny is you find out, it's a spoiler, but at the end you find out these are essentially throwing stars for the alien. And you don't
Yeah.
know that at first, but yeah, I probably everyone involved in this movie was embarrassed of it, and pretend it didn't exist, which is probably why I've never heard of it, and I can't believe it.
I've never seen this.
It used
When
to be
I-
on like
when-
ABC at like midnight.
When I put it
every week.
on and I saw all these people, especially David Caruso, I couldn't believe it. I mean, that guy, I like David Caruso, but at the same time, he kind of rubs me wrong because it just looks so cocky. He's got a punchable face.
That's what
But-
Hollywood thinks.
And he's got that same kind of look to him here. My dad used to call him Howdy Doody. And, so there you have it. It's on Tubi, man. Without Warning. It's got a killer poster, too.
I saw that movie back in that came out like in 1980. Probably saw it not like you said on TV a year or 2 after it came out, and then I've seen it twice. Second time I saw it at Hunter's house.
Yeah.
Moon Monster.
Oh,
Love
cool.
that movie.
Love that movie. Well, Larry Storch. When I saw that movie, Larry Storch was the only person I knew who it was back in the day, and now I'm like, oh look, Martin Landau, and no, I knew Jack Palance too.
Yeah.
Larry
big
Storch from
names in
F
here
for you kids
for
out
this.
there.
Yeah, after remember we saw him at Chiller.
Yep. And I saw
All right.
Martin Landau. I actually hit into
Yeah.
Martin Landau.
All right, Jason's up.
I watched a movie that was on Joe Bob, I think a couple years ago. And as soon as it started and I saw who made it, I stopped watching because I knew immediately
I remember
this is going to be so bad it's good. That is the movie Sledgehammer from 1983,
Oh,
directed and written by
my
David
gosh.
Pryor and starring his brother, the bodybuilder, Ted Pryor. So David A. Pryor is one of my favorite bad movie directors. I don't know how many of his movies we've reviewed on the channel now, but the guy is a legend. He and his brother just made a ton of movies in the 80s into the 90s, and all of them but one have been an absolute freaking blast. I don't know if this is David Pryor's first movie, but it feels like it because it's fucking awful.
It looks
It's-
it too.
It's so bad. The beginning in particular, there are shots in slow-mo of people walking that last like a minute and a half, and nothing happens. It is staggering how low budget and amateurish this movie is. But it's fun, particularly towards the last half. Not a goddamn thing in this makes sense. I don't know why anything's happening. They never showed like where the layout of the house is, like room by room. So at one point, people go down the hallway and they're in the kitchen. Later on, they go down the same hallway, they're in a bedroom. You're like, holy shit, this is really special. So this will come out, I want to say, next week, probably next Thursday. This episode will come out. This is a really special gem of a film.
Oh,
and
it's trash.
So you have seen this?
Yeah.
it's really bad. It was actually interesting to see that David Pryor, from where we saw him later on, he actually improved massively by the time he made Deadly Prey, which is a hilarious movie in its own right. This is like video camera. We don't know what the hell we're doing. We found an abandoned house and we're going to shoot a movie in it.
This is like your dumbest friend saying, I'm going to make a movie. All right.
Yes.
Is this the guy that uses the rule that anything off camera doesn't exist until it's
Correct.
on camera?
Correct.
Okay.
That is David A. Pryor.
I saw the beginning of this movie, and of course, I'm the sober guy. I was watching it a lot myself, and I shut it off, man.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. It does get way more exciting towards the end, but that's also when the beer's kicking in for me. So
yeah, way more exciting.
Yeah.
The bar is so low from the start.
So did we all turn this off when it came on? Did we all watch the beginning of this and then just stop?
I watched it another
I
day.
didn't.
Okay.
I had no interest.
Because I remember this hitting Joe Bob, and I was like, nope, David Pryor film, I'm saving that sucker.
Yeah.
Today's the day. Because Halloween has arrived, so for So Bad It's Good, we do horror movies for all of October. And we're kicking it off with Sledgehammer, baby.
Dude, boy.
So this should still be on Shudder. I actually have a copy, but because Joe Bob showed it, I'm guessing it's on Shudder still.
Makes sense.
You can only
Check it out
hope.
if you hate yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, fall has just arrived, but for me, winter is coming because I watched a movie called The Beast Within that's got Jon Snow in it. From
Oh,
Game
the
of
new
Thrones.
one.
The new one. So it's Kit Harington, werewolf movie, 2024. He's got him and his wife and daughter live out in some kind of like property they own out in the middle of nowhere. And turns out he turns into a werewolf when the moon is full. And they've got to contain him. And he's got the young daughter who's got some physical ailments to deal with. I was like, oh, okay, Kit Harington, werewolf movie. Always hoping to stumble upon a good werewolf movie. And I'm here to report that I have not found the good werewolf movie.
I could have told you that. Dang it.
Considering there are 3 of them in existence.
Yeah.
This movie is it's like an allegory for domestic violence.
That's
So
what we
there's
want in our werewolf movies.
very little werewolf in this movie. And when you do get werewolf, it's not very satisfying. And it's kind of boring and a little heavy-handed in what it's doing. So it's not really executed well. So I'm not going to dwell on this one for a while. I'm just going to tell you, I saved you the trouble.
Yeah,
Move on
thanks.
with their life.
Yeah, boy.
That sucks.
Yeah, it
I
does.
feel bad for Kit Harington, man. You're in the biggest show of the last 15 years, and it ends in a freaking horrific fart. And now, like, you're trying to get movies made, but
Dude,
I feel like the stink of Game of Thrones is just...
just think, it ends in a fart. He ends up in rehab, and now he's making shitty werewolf movies.
That sucks, man. He
I
was
like those
like the guy in Game of Thrones.
Well, he was also supposed to be Black Knight in the Marvel universe, and he was in that what the hell, the Eternals, like the worst Marvel movie of them all. And they were setting him up, and that movie was so abysmal that I think anything that was touching that movie is like scrapped. So even
Bastard.
he'll be all right.
He knows nothing.
Will he? I mean, I hope.
He ended up marrying the chick, the wild chick from the TV show, the redhead.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
helps.
He's
That
fine.
helps.
Who was in Honeymoon, which is great.
Yes.
This isn't a really a werewolf show, but it has some cool werewolf stuff in it. Has anyone else seen Hemlock Grove before?
I started
No.
watching it and quit on it.
Oh,
Yeah, I never
I
watched
liked it. I thought it was cool, man. It's vampire and werewolves, and it's got some cool body horror stuff in it. But yeah, I'm surprised none of you have seen it.
I mean, I heard of it, but it looked like,
I liked
regular old.
Wasn't it on like
nonsensical TV
Fox
show.
or something when it came out?
Uh,
Regular TV.
yeah, I think it said like or HBO or
I thought
something.
I watched it on Netflix, but I watched seriously like 2 episodes and then I was like, no, thank you.
Okay.
Damn
It's just-
werewolves.
So
Network-
listen, I did my duty for God and country here.
There you go.
I took the
Yes,
silver
you
bullet
did.
for us.
Thank you, Jack.
Yes, thank you.
Can we get Kit Harington in a good movie?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. I thought he was really good in Game of Thrones, but I've never seen him do anything other than that. So I wanna see him get a shot.
He's the Sherry Moon zombie of Game of Thrones. You don't see him in anything else.
It must be brutal, man. Like you're like I'm on the fast train. Like I'm in the biggest show, we're killing it, and through no fault of his own, the last season is the worst pile of shit ever, and it just tanks him. That blows.
Hey,
I didn't even know about the Marvel thing. That's just a kick in the nuts. Like
yeah,
I'm
nobody
getting,
knows.
getting
who
on
was
the
in that
Marvel
movie.
train.
Listen, I know you guys have had it with Marvel anyway. The Eternals. It would actually be funny to watch you guys watch the Eternals because it's the absolute bottom of the barrel, and it's got great people. Salma Hayek's in it, Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, but
So many good
dude,
people in it.
When we
And
got Eternals comics by accident when we were kids, you threw it away. And I was a kid who bagged and boarded everything, and I was like, I don't need this. I'll put that
Oh,
with my
Jesus.
devil dinosaur.
all right, Hunter, what else you got?
All right, so Jack and I did our annual movie watch list that we use with this game for Monster Men, and it's a game and it's a book, and you roll dice and you pick movies or whatever. There was one movie. Once it popped up, I was like, oh well, I have to watch this movie. Then I said I'll save it for October, and I couldn't. I lasted 12 hours. So this movie is called Attack of the Puppet People. Fantastic name. It is by Bert I. Gordon, the notorious B.I.G., who is famous for making everything bigger, including Food of the Gods, Giant Rats and Chickens, Empire
Did
of
you
the
watch
Ants.
this after we shot the episode? Like right after?
The next day.
Okay.
The next morning. He also did The Amazing Colossal Man. So he makes everything bigger. In this movie, this former marionette guy who's become a doll maker shrinks people, and then he puts them in these little tubes and he puts them on display. And they're kind of like in this suspended animation until he wants to take them out to kind of play with them. I freaking love this movie. I don't know how this escaped me because I am a big Burt Gordon fan. It was available on Freebie. I said, no, I will fly to Finland to watch a copy with somebody before I'll watch anything on Freebie. But thankfully it's on YouTube, like 4 versions of it on YouTube. So it's literally, I think it's from the 50s, early 60s. It's this guy who makes dolls, German kind of weirdo guy. He hires a new secretary because the other one has disappeared. And
Really?
she starts to learn that he shrinks people. And then she gets shrunk. And then she meets up with other shrink people because he puts them all together. He goes, here, have a party. He brings them little bottles of champagne. He's kind of a nice mad doctor. There's been worse.
Will this be a good double feature with Long Legs, the whole doll maker thing?
No. It's such a hard turn. This would be a tough one. Puppet Master and this would be a good combination. But yeah, I can't suggest this movie enough. So if you've never seen it, it's on, just go to YouTube. There's a version you can buy. Don't. 3 other people have put it up there for free. So just grab that.
And our Halloween watch list episode will be hitting this next weekend coming up.
This is
Nice.
too much goddamn.
I gotta
ice
say,
cream.
I love who just said that? Was it a Roguish Ham said the sets look super fun in that movie? That looks cool as hell.
Yeah, I mean, they've got big phones and big matchbooks
Yeah.
and big pencils.
That's
Kinda
fun.
cool. And of course, you're gonna get chased by like rats through the streets of Manhattan and dogs. It's just a fun movie, man. Nobody makes this kind of stuff anymore with any bit of skill. Like this actually is not bad. Like everybody kind of knows how to act. And Burt Gordon, he knows what he was doing.
Beautiful.
All right.
Where did you see this at?
YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, YouTube really has a lot of stuff on there, man. I was looking yesterday, and I've watched a couple movies recently for Creepy Couch that are from YouTube, older, like kind of B movies.
That's my last resort, and it always pulls through.
They have a series on there too called. Did you guys ever used to watch Circle of Death? It's like an hour long. I'd never heard of it before, but it looked like it was something that was like, made for TV horror that came out in the 70s. I wasn't even like with some big names in it too. I've never heard of it.
I've been in a Circle of Death mosh pit. I'd never heard of the show. God, I was so scared of that mosh pit.
Who's up? Chad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. This one I watched on something called Internet Archive because I Googled this movie, wanted to see it. It was somewhere else, and I went with the Internet Archive. So I don't know where it's at. If you want to watch it, really, you just Google it. It's called The Rejuvenator from 1988. It's a pretty low budget movie with bad acting about a scientist who looks like Lorne Michaels and the Tall Man had a baby. And hopefully Jason can find a good picture of him because that's exactly what he looks like. He gets pressured by a Hollywood starlet who has been into using his newly discovered fountain of youth procedure on her, even though it hasn't been properly tested. After her procedure, she looks beautiful and younger, seduces the scientist. They sleep together, wake up in the middle of the night, and she's got thin, wiry hair, bony fingers, hideous face. Then there's another problem. This the stuff the scientist needs to see. There's the tall man, Lorne Michaels.
Yes.
What he needs is cadavers to make this stuff. So he starts getting those in the black market. But then she needs more. That's the gorgeous, beautiful woman that he. Not
Her right there?
No, her. Yeah. But he needs more and more of this stuff as the treatments continue. And then she starts looking like getting worse and worse. She's like a cross between the mother from Dead Alive, one of the chicks from that movie Witches, and that creature, and then ultimately that creature from This Island Earth. Plenty of practical effects, including the pulsating bladders that they did a lot in the 80s. Yep. The creature effects are good, but like over the top ridiculous too, with maybe the most original creature hands I've ever seen with fingers that grow on top of fingers. A reason why I watched this was because this is supposed to be the substance is supposed to be the unofficial remake of this movie. So
really?
Yeah.
Huh.
But this is also one of those movies that I know Brian loves where a band plays an entire song inside a club.
That is such an 80s thing, man.
That's a good sign of so bad it's good.
They play
and
a
always
song
long
and a half
songs.
in there.
Like they're always
the band
like 8,
wasn't
10 minutes.
The band wasn't that bad. It was a chick band that was playing like heavy metal stuff. They weren't bad, but it was pretty hilarious and no reason for it in there at all. Anyway, you have to Google it. It'll pop up in a few places where you can stream it, like that Internet Archive. So otherwise, it's not streaming at any of the usual spots. The Rejuvenator. It reminded me of Reanimator too.
It feels like one of those movies that never even got a DVD release. It was VHS and then gone.
Yeah, it's bad, man. The acting is bad.
Toten, does Jason have this? He would know.
It's probably on the way right now.
Not yet, he doesn't.
He's sending him the Eternals, though.
He's preparing the Eternals as we speak.
God. Damn you.
All right. I think Jason's up, right?
I watched a movie that I felt like I had seen, but when I started it, I recognized nothing. And then there'd be like a little bit here. I was like, did I watch this? And that is Tales from Halloween, an anthology from
That
2015.
got Kevin Smith in it?
Not that I remember.
Oh, no, that's Holidays.
But this has
I've seen this, though.
greatest cast ever. So they'll have somebody just show up for like 10 seconds. Barry Bostwick will barely be in it. Then Barbara Crampton shows up. Like they're like huge horror icons. Chad's buddy Mick Garris shows up. Non-speaking role, but he's in it.
Did he write this?
I don't know if he directed or not, but there's 10 segments in this. So, like, if you can, you know what? Let's see who all directed here. Who do we have? Neil Marshall, Lucky McGee, Mike Mendez. Like, there's some big names that directed segments of this.
I remember this wasn't that bad.
It's frustrating. Amazing cast. And everything looks great. Like, there was either money or talent behind every segment. So at no point were you like, wow, this is amateur hour. The biggest problem is there are too many damn segments. So
10. That's insane. That's
10, yeah.
That's got to be a record.
You barely have any time for any kind of a story to flesh out. In one of them, a woman walks home and is followed. That's it. There's no story. It's just, it's like, guys, this looks great. Cool, Barbara Crampton's in it for 15 seconds, but there's no story. Some of the other ones are better. I mean, obviously it's an anthology, so some will be better than the others. There's no tie-in. They tried for like 10 seconds to do something with oh god, what the hell's her name from Escape from New York? Adrienne Barbeau.
Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah. They tried to do something with her where she's on the radio,
It was
but
weird.
it doesn't happen at every segment, and there's no rap that does anything with them. So it, as a whole anthology, like I said, it looks good, great cast. It should be better than it is. Having said that, it's still not bad. Like this isn't a bad watch, but 10 segments is absurd. Like
It's so
that's
funny.
way too-
I have seen this movie, and you're showing pictures, and I'm like, I don't remember that. I don't remember
I'm
that.
the same way.
Exactly. As I was watching it, one segment started, I was like, I have seen this. And then the next segment, I'm like, no, I have no recollection of any of it. It just, and I think it's because there's no story. Like, there's nothing to hang on to.
Yeah.
So the visuals might click a little bit, but this came out in 2014 too, so I probably saw it, in the better part of a decade ago. So that's not helping. But everyone's favorite podcasting doctor has a little cameo in this. Rebecca McKendry pops in.
Oh,
In one of the segments. She does not introduce herself as a doctor, which was a little surprising, but it was cool to see her in there. So that's how
cool.
much of a love there was for the genre in this, that even like popular podcasters had cameos. So it's a love fest for horror. I just wish there were a few less segments so that they could have worked on story a little bit more. But as far as, anthologies go, it's one of the better ones.
Well, I have good news for you. Toten says the Rejuvenator is already in the collection.
Get the hell out of here. Really?
Yep. I knew if I asked him, he'd know. He'd know your collection way better than
There's some real garbage down there, guys. God damn. That's funny. All right. Thank you, Totes.
my last movie. We'll circle back to one of the news stories where we talked about everybody's favorite, Freddie Prinze Jr. And I watched the movie, another 2020, this time sort of a thriller called The Girl in the Pool. And this one is about Freddie Prinze. His father has got two kind of high school age kids. His wife is played by Monica Potter. Remember her?
Oh, I remember her.
And his mistress is he finds his mistress dead in his pool, and he panics and hides the body, and then turns out it's his birthday, and his wife throws a surprise party for him. So the party's going on with all these people, and the body is like hidden right near where everybody is partying. So he
Right.
is. It's almost a little bit like the coffee table in the tension of very little. This is a stretch, just in the tension of something that the rest of the group doesn't know. But Kevin Pollak plays his father-in-law. It's like, where the hell, Kevin Pollak?
Why
We're
is he
pulling him
doing
out.
trash like that? I mean, come on.
This feels like it's not a Cinemax movie because there's not sex, but it's like a movie you would see on cable. You wouldn't even rent it. It would have been something like, oh, this is on tonight. It's a thriller with Freddie Prinze. I'll watch it. It got me through tonight. It's not a great movie. It's not awful. It's entertaining. It's Monica Potter is the best part of the movie because she talks like a real person when like he's doing something, and it's like they're supposed to go somewhere, and she's just matter of like, what the hell are you doing? Like,
Right.
it's like I just felt like, oh, this is very authentic of her. It was
Dude.
funny. I did seeing how old her and Freddie Prinze are in this.
The fact that you took a dive into this movie knowing Freddie Prinze is the star, that's some commitment, man. I commend you.
We watched this in
I
the
love
office.
taking him for the team this week.
Oh, you
We
watched
watched-
it in the office. Okay.
We watched it in the office, so we had
All
it
right.
up on the TV. So yeah, so I was like, you know what? This feels like I can cross one off for the File Guy show with this one.
So just so I understand the story, his mistress dies and he hides the body during a party?
Because he hides the body, and then there's a surprise party like for him. So as he's dealing with it, suddenly
time.
there's no time.
But if he didn't kill her, why is he hiding the body?
Well, you got to see the movie, pal.
Oh, okay. All right, fair
Is
enough.
this the William Shatner story?
Damn, really? I didn't know that.
That's a story for another day.
He
Wow.
lost $1 million in a pool.
So between the girl in the pool and the beast within, I'm going to say it was over 2 this week.
Yeah, boy, that was just rough.
However, I get one more at bat with The Substance. So let's get to the main feature.
Please.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
All right. The Substance. Demi
I'll
Moore,
explain it.
Margaret Qualley,
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid, Hunter. Tell us.
I'm going to give it a shot. Demi Moore is playing herself, an aging star who looks dynamite. I mean, good Lord. 20.
How old is she?
62.
61, 2?
Yeah,
She's in her 60s.
Yeah.
God damn. I got to start doing that exercise she was doing at the beginning.
Yeah, I don't remember any girls in college looking like that. Anyway, she is a fading star who has like an exercise show and finds out from her agent, who's played by Dennis Quaid, who is the biggest scumbag you'll ever meet in your life, that she's being replaced because they need somebody younger. And then she gets in a car accident and gets this little slip of paper saying if she wants to take the substance, it will change your life. So she watches a brief video, and you might question why this is enough to make you inject stuff, but her whole definition of herself is her fame. And if that goes, she's got nothing left. So it took me a while to go, oh, I get it. So she goes and she follows up on taking the substance. And it comes with a lot of directions. And some of the weirdest shit I've ever seen in my life takes place in this movie from start to finish. And yeah, it's the substance. It ain't the stuff. The stuff is for kids. This is big boys and girls stuff. This substance. Ooh.
All right, I am dying to hear what everybody thinks of this movie. So let's start with Jason.
This is a wild ride for me. So, like I said, first of all, I get into the theater and it's like we're all old. So that was like, okay. For a horror film, at 12:45 on a Tuesday, I wasn't expecting that crowd. When I go to a horror film on Monday afternoon, it's me.
Right.
So I was like, okay. For the first 95% of this movie, I thought it was really phenomenal. Not a movie I would go back and watch a whole lot because it's pretty hardcore and pretty. This is not a fun movie. I'll put it that way. This is not a movie that I would like revisit a lot. But I was like, this is phenomenally well made. In spoilers, we'll talk about the end. I'm really curious to hear what you guys think. I have a feeling some people are going to be like, "That was stupid," and other people are going to be like, "That was the greatest thing I've seen in the last 20 years."
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really curious to see what everybody thinks. When I first left the theater, I was like, I don't know how much I like that because I did not like the ending. It just didn't freaking land with me. But the further I've gotten away from it throughout the day, I'm like, that was a really, really well done movie. And Demi Moore is freaking phenomenal. And what's the other woman's name? Margaret, what?
Quayle.
Quayle.
The two of them absolutely crush. Dennis Quaid crushes in this. Like, the acting is just next level. The practical effects, it's all top notch.
Yeah.
It's just tough when the last thing I see in the theater, I'm like, and then I'm leaving, and I'm like, damn it. I wish that ending had been different. But having said that, this is obviously going to make my list for the year. It's not going to be number one, but this is an incredibly well-made movie.
Yeah.
Like, everybody who's into horror needs to see this. You might not like it. You might be grossed out by it, but you need to see it.
If you're not,
my wife would have hated this movie. She didn't see it with me.
This movie is very moist. There's moistness everywhere.
There's a lot of moistness. And also, I should say, if you like asses, this will be the greatest film you have ever seen. I've never seen so many close-ups of an ass in film in my. It was like a Tarantino movie, but for asses.
That's what I said.
That's a segue to what does Hunter think of this movie?
I had to call Jack right after I saw it on the way home because I just needed to talk about this. I will tell you up front, I have been a breast man ever since I found my copies of Jugs and Gent magazine back in the 70s. I think I'm an ass man now. I've been converted. I've never seen so much ass out in a porn movie. And some of the best ass you're probably ever going to see. Even the guy's ass was good. All the asses were good. There's guy ass in this, but there's a lot of lady ass. This is like, I love the fact this was directed by a woman. The beginning I thought was brilliant with the Hollywood Walk of Fame star and how that was all happening. This is a big ASMR movie. To see a lot more movies going in that direction. This is
sound design on this. If it doesn't get nominated, then why is there a sound category in the Academy Awards?
Yeah. And you have to see this in a theater. You have to see this where you can't go, I want to get a chocolate bar from the kitchen. You need surround sound. You need darkness. I thought this movie was brilliant. The way this movie was put together is absolutely amazing. I will say there are parts, every time I thought it took it to a level, first of all, I was like squirming in my seat at a lot of scenes and nauseated, actually. But every time I thought it went as far as you can go. It went a mile further and then would go another mile further. There's a couple of things that happened in the very end. I was like, one scene in particular almost took me completely out of the movie. But I didn't hate the ending, Jason. I wish it was a better ending.
I didn't hate it either. I was just like,
I didn't say you hate it, but yeah.
I was like, what?
I don't think it was an ending worthy of everything that came before it.
I totally agree.
But I still think this is an absolutely brilliant movie.
It's a curveball.
You're not going to see this much Karen. Oh, to say the least. But you're not going to see a horror movie with this much TLC. This is like a Comet kind of horror movie, as far as I'm concerned.
All right,
So
Chad.
I really dig it.
Chad, you were the first one to see it.
I think that I like this more than anybody else so far. I'm confused by Jason's not digging the end because he's such a big fan of like over the top stuff like Psycho Gorman, and the only thing I can think of is you weren't expecting this direction, and is maybe why. Like if the whole movie were this, then maybe you would have liked the ending. Is that maybe what your problem was?
If the whole movie was a gore comedy, yeah. I'm trying to walk a line here so we don't spoil the end.
Yeah.
Psycho Gorman, the whole movie was like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Yeah. For me, I mean, it was. I'm a big fan of that. That very quick, fast Requiem for a Dream. There's another drug movie called Spawn that has those very fast, like macro shots. The sound, the very fast editing, and this had that. I like that. And I didn't think it was like overdone or anything. There was a point, maybe about an hour and. How long is this movie? It was
2
long.
hours,
It was
like
2.5. It was long.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there was a
2:20.
point about an hour and a half into it where things really slowed down, and I thought, man, I'm wondering if they could have chopped like 20 minutes out of this thing. It started to slow down for me, and then the last, what was it, 20 minutes or whatever? It does shift, but and Jason, you called it a curveball, and I loved the curveball because it pulled me back in so much. It did become something else, but not so far reserved. I mean, I felt like we were built up to that thing because there was a lot of dark comedy stuff with things like the neighbor that, some of it was so dry that maybe people didn't pick up on, and then when the ending came, it sealed the deal for me as far as this will definitely go on my list. I really like the ending, and I thought Demi she did great. It's good to see her in another movie.
Yeah, she's been missed. Real quick before you go, Jack, Chad, you think this was reserved until the ending?
No, I think
I was like what?
No, it slowed down, and it got no. The ending to me, the ending is like the first 2/3 of the movie are one movie, and then the end is just Dead Alive, but with the same, for me, the same tone, but the wheels fall off too. Well, not this, I wouldn't say the same tone, a tone that's been being established throughout, and then that tone takes over, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Let me talk.
Do it. Let's hear it.
I saw this movie with a normie, a female.
Oh,
A female normie. Even
Female normie.
Is this porn,
They
Jack?
probably made you hate it.
Movie lover. Just the two of us in the theater. We're watching it. The movie unfolds. And then the last 20 minutes happen. And I can get into this more when we get into spoilers and stuff. But we came out and I was like, what did you think? And she's like, that was a great movie. Great acting. Great this, great that. Until the last 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need that. And, the kind of the Evil Dead 2, Dead Alive thing.
Yeah.
Like she goes, then it became a horror movie because it wasn't a horror movie until that. And then suddenly, because if they had just ended it there, I still like this movie a lot. I don't need that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm a horror fan. So I'm more open to that. But she goes, yeah, what did you think of this movie? And I honestly, similar to Hunter, I put up my hands. I said, I don't know. I'm still chewing on it. I said,
Yeah.
I like this movie so much. I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about the last 20 minutes. I know that they're saying a lot of stuff with this movie, and I need to think about it a little bit and think about the themes and what they're trying to say and what does it all mean. And I think I might appreciate this more as I get a little distance from it. And sure enough, like the next day I'm thinking more about it and this and that. And I thought to myself, what makes this movie super memorable, cult classic, everybody's talking, is that this movie would have been on everybody's tongue, everybody talking about it anyway, but you put that on and now this movie is like legendary. So I think that strategically they did a good move. I'd have to say, yeah, like with you guys, it's somewhere on my best movies of the year. It pushed something off my list that had no business being on a best of list. So I'm happy we're starting to get some of these to push it down. But yeah, like where is it going to finally settle? I don't know. But there was so much to like about this movie. Incredible performances, sound design, the writing is so spot on. Like, so yeah, there's a ton to celebrate about this movie. And then almost like the ending of The Sopranos, you could talk about this movie forever. You're never going to kind of settle on it.
There's a lot to talk about. A lot.
It's not even the setup of the ending I don't like. It's from a specific point on that I'm just like, why are you doing this? But the whole setup to what was building to that, I was like, this is so good. This is so good. The effects are amazing. This is wild. And this movie is freaking wild. Like we're talking about, the woman directing it. There's so many asses and titties in this movie. You would think like the most lecherous dude from the 80s.
Like the guy who directed Friday the 13th Part 5.
Yes, exactly. You're watching on this huge screen in the theater, and the main actress's ass is like 90% of the screen at multiple points. It's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the movie is kind of shot. Initially, you kind of think it's the male gaze, the perspective of this movie. But I think as I was watching it, it's like it's actually society's gaze. It's not just
the fixation on perfection.
Yeah. So like that was another brilliant part of the filmmaking, I thought.
I love that part of the humor was the fact that Demi played a Hollywood starlet who was washed up, but she had her aerobics gig that instead of being embarrassed by it, she was proud of and she enjoyed. And this girl comes in and they look at this aerobics thing as though it's just taken over the world. This isn't 1984. This is 2000 something. And people don't really tune in for this kind of stuff, let alone, have a regular thing and have her come on live. That was hilarious, I thought, because there was a time, Jason, may have been before your time, but where like Jane Fonda and Richard Simmons, where things were, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
It's before Instagram.
Yeah. That's why I wondered what year this movie was set in. But then I saw a cell phone. I'm like, oh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that was just part of the cheese factor. It was like with Dennis Quaid's character. It's like the moment you see him, if you thought that this wasn't, a comedy as well, then that kind of sets it up. Yeah, okay, this is not to be taken too seriously.
I had just eaten dinner, and then I saw Dennis Quaid eating shrimp, and I'm like,
oh my God!
Let me tell you, I once vomited watching my dad eat lobster in the main restaurant. This I was triggered. I don't get triggered very often. This triggered me. I was so grossed out.
The close-ups of people eating in this movie are so freaking disgusting. It's like, damn it. I hate that shit in movies.
Yeah.
Mukbang.
What do you think? Should we get the spoilers? I think we're dancing around a lot of stuff here.
Oh, let me just say, kudos for Demi Moore taking on a role like this.
I totally agree.
At age 62, where you don't need to do this kind of crap anymore. And to be so exposed.
People are saying it's the best. It's maybe the best performance of her career. So
it is.
It's very brave. She hid nothing. The camera angles hide nothing.
No.
It's very. I really appreciate her casting too, because everyone she was like volcanically hot to everyone in the 80s and 90s. So for her to do this now in her 60s for this role was just perfect.
Yeah. And Margaret Qualley, she was the hippie hitchhiker girl in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That Brad Pitt picked up.
Could not think of what I knew her from until I looked it up.
And I remember seeing that movie and just thinking, that girl's got like it factor. She's got charisma. She's got a real presence to her. And I've seen her in a couple of other things, either in trailers or whatever, that I was like, yeah, she's an up and coming. And I feel like this movie's going to vault her into superstardom, I think.
It could.
Well, I mean, she has a movie that focuses on her feet. She has a movie that focuses on her ass. So she's working
next
up
body
the
part.
rung.
She's Andy McDowell's daughter, by the way.
Really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Oh,
Mom
that's
must
right.
be proud.
I saw that.
All right. Spoiler alert. We're
Here we
going in.
go.
We're going in full throttle. Okay. Where the heck do we start?
I don't know. The whole birthing out of your back,
Wild.
that was so unbelievably gross.
Well, this movie's
It looks
really
so good.
interesting because it's like a sci-fi thing going on. Because basically, they don't explain what the substance is, where it comes from, who's doing it, or how the clone knows what to do.
Yeah, I thought that was cool that it came out and then it knew to like, I need to sew her up now. That was cool.
There was a lot of intrinsic knowledge because those instructions were pretty sparse.
Those were vague. Considering you're going to clone yourself out of your back, and it's like, make sure you take this shot, and here's a sewing kit. I'd have been like, what's the sewing kit for?
I think that it was looking at it as instinct. Like if you ever see, like when kittens are born, they come out and the first thing they do is they search out the nipple, something they've never done before, and then they start eating. Kittens aren't the only animal that do that. And it's amazing to see something like that happen. And if the mom has never had kittens before, she eats the placenta and chops off the cords and stuff. So everything is done like by some strange instincts. So that's how I kind of took it. It was just this was part of that kind of birthing instinct thing.
I had trouble reprogramming my garage door clicker. There's no way I'm ever going to be able
That's
to clone
the
myself.
strangest comparison I think you could have made.
I thought you were going to talk about Demi Moore.
How's that?
I'm just
We're
saying,
talking about births and instinct
I
after
can't
birth.
follow instructions. The substance, I wouldn't be able to do it. There's no instinct. I don't know how to sew. I can't replace a button.
By the way, the sewing is the least of the needle things. If you have a needle phobia,
Yeah.
you can't watch this movie.
Oh my god, that sewing scene goes on forever. It's so long.
Poking a needle in the same freaking spot every time.
Oh, and when the spot is festering,
Yeah.
and again, the sounds it doesn't go in quietly.
So
The sounds is amazing.
refresh my memory, because is this supposed to, this cloning thing, is it only supposed to be something that happens for a few weeks, or is it an ongoing
Well,
thing?
I think
'Cause
it's if you don't fuck it up, you can just keep doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be in perpetuity as long as you
Yeah,
all
but
switch off.
If you're the kind of person who's willing to do this, you're also going to completely fuck it up because you're so vain. that
Right.
This is not going to last. So I actually kind of love that part of it.
Plays on their vanity. At least customer service always answered the phone right away.
That guy was very patient.
I can't get that kind of service anywhere else.
I can't get anyone on the phone if my cell phone stops.
And by the
ringing.
way, all this is free. No money is ever exchanged.
Yeah.
but it's not free.
It's not free. Yeah.
So
What do you wish for?
as a Margaret Qualley, what's her name, Sue, is abusing this, and Demi Moore's body is taking the punishment.
Yeah.
Once she goes hag, I was like, wow, this looks like the witches.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That knee, that arthritic knee hurt me.
Oh man, yeah.
Just seeing it.
That went on for too long. I was just like, just freaking either, just break it or don't. Just stop.
I
That
feel
looks
like
painful.
Nicolas Cage was watching this movie and just going, yeah, Demi, that's how you do it.
Maybe he was her acting coach. You know what? I felt bad. It's a very sad movie too, because when Demi Moore has that first week herself, she spends it watching TV, and holed up in her room. So like she's getting no joy from this whatsoever.
Yeah.
No, then later she's like hate eating to because that's the only way she can cause harm to the clone.
I will never eat chicken again.
I think my favorite scene with her is when she, and it said a lot about what she was going through, is when she got dolled up, put on the makeup. She was going to go see her high school friend or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she would come back in, freak out on her face, take it off, and then she just was so indecisive. That was probably my favorite scene with her, as far as her talent.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, for all the grotesque things in this movie, I think the two grossest things in the movie were the teeth on both guys. Dennis Quaid with his brown stained teeth.
Oh yeah.
And then every time they showed the other guy, like a flashback, you were the most beautiful girl in the class. Like,
That dude was freaking
creepy.
or the guy across the hall. He was hilarious, man.
Yeah.
He just could not read the room at all, and he was always just right there.
Did you guys appreciate the nods in Night of the Demons?
Oh, the chicken in the
So
stomach?
instead of lipstick and a
yeah.
nipple, you got a drumstick coming out of your navel.
There was a lot of nods in this. I got a Kubrick vibe.
Kubrick would have killed with this movie.
With the carpets and the bathroom and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, the bathroom for sure. The red and white bathroom. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was wondering if that was the same, like if that was supposed to be intentional, if it was the same, but I don't think it was the same like setup, but it sure reminded me of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you have carpet in the hallway. That was
Yeah.
very overlooked.
So you guys didn't like the when the Gore video started, I guess.
Honestly, I didn't like it at all. It didn't like ruin the movie, but I really did not like that tonal shift.
So we're talking about the New Year's Eve special to the end of the movie.
See, I was before that. I almost got taken out when they fought and turned into X-Men.
Oh no, yes, actually, that's the first thing that I was like, "What the fuck is this? Why does she have superpowers?"
Demi Moore can barely straighten out her arthritic leg to get up, but now she can run and fight, and they throw each other like 10 feet in the air.
I took that all as that's emphasizing the anger and the self-loathing and all that. So there was very little literal stuff, I thought, with this movie.
Right. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, see, I hated that because I took everything until that point literally, and then when she kneed her and she flew across the room, I was like, "What? Like, what just happened?"
You could have done that without going Marvel.
I didn't Marvel. You guys, you're too sensitive now.
Jack, I'm going to try to throw you across the room next time we fight.
It's not going to happen because you're a little wuss.
Yeah, but you got to be fighting for your life. You got to have that desperation, man.
Actually, let's invite Tim to our house, Jack. I bet we could throw him a distance.
If we didn't have to see 7 minutes of that woman straightening her knee, then watching Demi like drag her around the house later maybe wouldn't have been like, what the hell?
That knee was painful.
But we had to watch all this stuff about how broken down her body is, and then like it didn't matter at all later. So I didn't like that. But
thank you.
The Gore video is the best description of the end of this freaking movie.
Yeah.
It's so absurd, and it's just like, what is this? I really didn't like it. Now, the very end with Demi's face, like, dragging to the star, I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And I loved her mutated body. I loved the effects. That was really well done. But the Gore video, that 8 minutes or whatever that was.
Blood spraying everywhere.
It's like, what the hell happened?
I was laughing like a fool when that started happening. I'm sure the couple behind me probably would think we should leave early. I thought it was hysterical. It reminded me of Evil Dead the musical, where you can sit in the seats where they throw buckets of blood at you.
There's a little bit of
nuts.
The fat guy puking at Monty Python.
Exactly. It's wafa thin.
I don't know. I liked that it was like an intelligent, well-acted movie, and then all of a sudden they're like, you know what? We're going to pay homage to like Brian Usna and Society and
Dead Alive.
You know, Dead Alive and Reanimator and all of those.
Well, when you've got Demi Moore's face doing the Thing mutation,
sticking out the back,
I was like, wow, this is amazing. Here's Demi Moore
cool.
doing this.
So cool.
I was thinking Color Out of Space with the.
Yeah.
That's the part. And I told Jack, I said, I will recommend this movie to every normie who asks me for a horror movie forever. Because I'll be like, well, it's got Demi Moore. It's got
you know what you should do? You'd say, if their favorite movie is like Ghost or whatever, you like Demi Moore. I got the perfect Demi Moore movie for you.
Did you dig Ghost? This is like Ghost.
It's called The Substance, and you're going to love it because it also has Meg Ryan's ex-husband. and it has
It'll
Andy
suck
McDowell's
people in
daughter.
too. Like people will be hooked from the beginning of this movie, and then
Yeah.
when it goes full on Guar, I would just want to be there to watch their brains just get scrambled.
It's about the emotional turmoil of an aging Hollywood star and how she's dealing with her body deteriorating.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be great for Christmas, Mom. Check it out.
Oh my God.
I am curious because everything was so high quality. The acting, the writing, the filming, cinematography. Will the Oscars even touch something like this?
I think that ending I think if it ended way differently, this would have a chance. That ending killed it.
Like, to me, it's like when Hereditary came out. It's like, come on, throw Toni Collette a bone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
no,
nominating
that's-
her was ridiculous.
that was different. That's
Yeah. Who cares? The Oscars suck anyway.
Yeah,
I think
That's
with
true.
to me, I think that she's had her moments where she shocked everybody, like with G.I. Jane or with Striptease, when she was like too old to be doing that kind of thing. I think those are the moments that I don't think she would get.
She could work the Friday night shift at any strip club right now and make a shit ton of money under a different name. Doesn't matter.
So, I don't know, man. I just feel like if that ending hadn't been on there, this would be so much higher up my list than it's probably going to end up being, just because the last thing of that movie, it's like In a Violent Nature, except I didn't hate this as nearly as much as I hated the ending of In a Violent Nature.
It does go on. If it was 10 minutes instead of 20, maybe. It's so prolonged.
It's so ridiculous.
I didn't
It's
mind.
like-
It's like a Family Guy skit. Let's see how long Peter can push this.
But again, when you start to think about what they're trying to say with it and all that, like, there's part of me that's like, this is bold and it's making a really good point here, but it's using, heavy hand with it.
Heavy blood.
I feel like this is one of those movies that 7-8 years from now, all of you are going to see it again, and you're going to be like, you know what, I really liked it this time around. I like all of it.
I'll watch it before then. I'll watch it once it comes back. It comes on streaming somewhere.
Well, sometimes you gotta let it marinate for.
It's gonna be a long.
Yeah.
First of all, it's 2.5 hours long. Okay,
Yeah.
for
I
me
mean, there's
to watch,
a lot of movies out there to
rewatch a
watch.
2.5 hour.
I
movie.
didn't feel the time at all.
I didn't know it was that long either. But every time I go to rewatch something, like if I'm like, oh, let's put on Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I'm not like, oh shit, it's 2.5 hours long. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like this is gonna be for me.
I got a kick out of the ending, so I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
But I do love that something like this got released in theaters because this movie is,
and that a huge actor was in it.
Yeah, that it got made.
yeah, it's
This is the same director as Revenge, right?
Yeah.
Which I love.
Which it reminded me of that too, a little bit. Like when the two girls were fighting, I actually thought of Revenge at that.
Remember that Revenge where the guy is chasing the girl around the apartment and the blood's
All that
everywhere?
blood.
yeah, it's clearly her style is to make the ending so absurd that most people are like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
And a lot of close-ups of the ass and asses in that movie too. Revenge. She has
loves
a thing.
nudity. She's a
Yeah.
fan.
God bless
So-
her.
Keep making movies.
Yeah, but not every 7 years. Let's a little faster.
She didn't do anything in between Revenge and this.
No. That was it.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
Probably 5 years was spent trying to talk Demi Moore into doing this. You're gonna have to be naked most of the time. I hope you don't mind.
Super naked.
Yeah, everything.
A lot of close-ups of your ass and your boobs.
And
The
sometimes
over-the-head
bushy.
shower boob shot they kept doing. I was like, "Are we sure the Friday the 13th Part 5 guy did not direct this?"
This is going to disappoint you guys, but I read a quote from the actress. I can't remember her name. That played the younger version or the
Margaret
young
Qualley.
clone. Those were not her breasts. Those were.
Oh yeah, I saw an interview with her. She said
They looked so bizarre. I'm glad that they weren't hers because.
Did you
they
see
looked weird.
the Tommy Lee Pam Anderson movie on Hulu?
No.
I
Or
saw
I
the
think
tape
it's a
back in the
four-part.
day.
It's a 4-part series. Lily, can't remember her last name. The girl who was in Baby Driver, the waitress. She plays Pam Anderson, and she had prosthetics, but it looked it looked real. This was
Right.
probably the same.
What boobs look weird to you, Hunter? Are you talking about Demise? Because those were real.
No. They look
Oh.
the same as in striptease, but Margot Qualley's look weird. They looked fake. I was like, those don't look like
I
real. Those
never
look
noticed.
like nipples on a cheap real doll. And now,
Did they show their boobs in this movie? I wasn't noticing. I was
Yes.
taking notes on the
They
themes
Demise,
of the movie.
Demise nipples were. I mean, she put Farrah Fawcett to shame. Farrah Fawcett has those kindergarten pencil eraser heads.
Yeah, I don't know how she doesn't poke people's eyes out 24/7.
You know, this movie was made because of guys like us.
I know. Whatever.
That's
Well,
fine.
That's not
It's
why
all
I
good.
was watching it.
I enjoyed it.
Next week on the Male Gaze, we'll be looking at another movie.
But yeah, see
All
this movie. If you're a horror fan, you got to see this.
Yeah, horror fan. We all
Can't
like
let
it.
go.
We all
Yeah.
like it. Just be ready for a crazy ending.
Yep.
We've warned you.
Buckle up.
Yes, for sure.
We don't know what we're doing next week. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But thanks for joining us, all people in the chat. It was a good night tonight. We had a lot of fun.
Brian Connolly, there are Final Guys mugs, I think, and T-shirts in a link on, I think, the last
More
couple
coming.
episodes.
More coming. I just haven't had time.
Yeah,
More
there you
coming.
go. I'm gonna work on
YouTube
my-
integration coming.
All right. Well, then we'll see you next time. And you guys have a good week.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Bye.
Game over,